how do we get free from fear? What would it look like for LGBTQ people, Black people, people of color, and immigrants and young people to walk down the streets of southern cities and towns free from fear? And what would it look like if we really saw ourselves as the leaders that we've been waiting for in our communities? And so that's sort of a guiding question for our work, which has focused broadly around criminalization. And then as Micky talked about, we have a regional demand at present to end money bail. But I definitely think that the times are calling for us to be bolder, be more courageous, to show up wherever we can, to not rest, and to take action wherever is available to us.
Yeah, and the thing that I love about Song is that we know that our work is not isolated to this time. Like, we've been working on the issues around the criminalization of our people for years, and maybe it's like ramping up in certain ways right now, but also it's been going on for a long time. So, like, we have members who have been dedicated to making sure that they can improve their lives so they can live free from fear for years. And we've also been lucky to have like new members and new coalitions and new folks over the past few years who have been down for us and down to like help us continue our work.
And so one of the things you mentioned is the importance of, especially of white people, sort of understanding what racism looks like and what we need to do. Do you have any suggestions for resources, books people can read to learn more? You know, we talk a lot about not wanting to put the burden of education on people of color, on LGBTQ people. But I'm wondering if there's a good sort of book or website or something that you would really encourage people to look at to learn more about intersectionality.
For sure. I believe, on our website, there's a resources section that lays out a bunch of sister and kindred organizations, and also some resources that we recommend, like juicy nuggets that have meant something to us. A couple that come to mind, one is there are two books that were written by Song co-founders, one by Mab Seacrest. People might be familiar with Memoirs of a Race Traitor. I think it's actually about to be back in print, but maybe you can pirate a copy somewhere, talking about Mab's journey out of conservative Alabama to becoming a freedom fighter for racial justice in North Carolina and throughout the South. And then Suzanne Farr, I think she has a website you can find that has two really great books. One, she's also a co-founder of Song. One's called Homophobia, A Weapon of Sexism, and the other is In the Time of the Right, which was written, I believe, in the early 90s and is very still useful. And then something that's been moving many of us who are white organizers in Song is podcasts, actually by a leader in the movement, Mama Ruby Sales, who came out of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. She did a couple of recent interviews. One is on the show On Being, the podcast, and really, really poses some very important food for thought for our movement, specifically about, there's like something we've been using a lot. She talks about having hindsight, insight, and foresight, which has like been a really helpful framing in our strategy and development work. And then also really ask the question, like, do we, as white organizers, believe that white people have the potential to be saved? I'm paraphrasing, and she says it much better. But that question has really been resonating with us, so that's one to check out. And then Song, also, we wrote a tool a couple of years back called There's Honor in the Struggle, There's Honor in the Work, which is specifically for white organizers in the movement for racial justice. And that's also available on our website as a tool if people are interested.
Excellent. And thank you both so much for joining me and talking about this. Your group just sounds amazing, and I'm so glad that it exists, and I hope our listeners will check it out and support your work.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us on.
Thanks so much, Kelly.
Thank you for listening to Two Broads Talking Politics. Our theme song is called Sweeter Vermouth and is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Our logo is by Matthew Weflin and is copyright 2018. You can find us on twobroadstalkingpolitics.com, on Twitter and Facebook at Two Broads Talk, and you can find our show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Pocket Casts, and anywhere else podcasts can be found. If you have any comments or questions, you can email us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com.